When I went through my set of 9 PCs that I purchased for a total of $40 for the entire lot, this one in particular was the IBM ThinkCentre that came with a Pentium 4 with hyperthreading technology. When I was going through some of the stuff about the system, I had found out that it used LGA 775, and I had quickly mentioned that I was curious if it could take a Core 2 Duo upgrade. And I found out through looking at the information that was online that it is not officially supported, and in fact that the highest CPU that is officially supported was an Intel Pentium 4 Prescott. The model on that was number 650. It runs at 3.4 gigahertz, and the one that's already in the system is a Pentium 4 640 at 3.2. So there's really not a big upgrade path there. Now, somebody in the comments had mentioned that they were fairly sure I could look at upgrading to a Pentium D. So I've gotten 3 different CPUs here we're going to try upgrading to today. Now, it's interesting because this system uses an Intel 915 chipset. The 915 chipset never got official support for anything above a Pentium 4. The dual-core CPUs on this socket, they started being supported by Intel's 945, 955, 965, and 975 chipsets. The 915 was technically too early. There are some reports where some people have gotten them running with dual-core CPUs using some BIOS tweaks or some aftermarket motherboard where the actual manufacturer would have enabled it. But it's interesting because this system from IBM has a BIOS currently loaded that has a date of 2008. It's January 21st, 2008 BIOS revision. And the Pentium D launched in 2005. So there is some merit to checking out which CPUs work and which don't. I'll take a look at these 3 CPUs with you real quick before we get started. So we're going to go in a chronological order of when these CPUs were manufactured first. First, I want to mention that the Pentium 4 that's in the system right now, the model 640, was manufactured in week 26 of 2005. So the Pentium D820 is the first CPU that we have here, earliest manufacturing date of the 3. This one is a 2.8 gigahertz model with 2 megs of L2 cache, and this one has a manufacturing date in week 31 of 2005. So it's only like a month newer than the chip that's already installed in the system. Pentium Ds, at their core, they're basically just 2 Pentium 4 Prescotts in a trench coat that Intel legitimately just took 2 Pentium 4 dies and stuck them under the same heat spreader and decided to use that. This was in response to AMD having their native dual core already ready to put on the market, the Athlon 64X2. And Intel didn't really have an answer to that just yet, so they kind of rushed to the market, I would say, with this release. But this CPU, from an architectural standpoint, is what's already in the system. It's just it's 2 of them in the same package. Now, the second CPU that we're going to try is this Pentium 4 631. This is a Cedar Mill version of the Pentium 4, and this one in particular is still single core. It's still 2 megs of L2 cache, just like the Pentium 4 640 that's currently in the system. This one in particular, though, is a 65 nanometer die shrink. That's what Cedar Mill means. It's a single Prescott core that was just shrunk down from 90 nanometers to 65. This one in particular, this individual example, is one of the later manufacturing dates. It's from 2007. It's week 7 of 2007. And as such, this is the final S spec. It carries a 65 watt thermal profile. So it'd be interesting if this one winds up working, because the BIOS, again, that's on this system is from January of 2008. I don't know if IBM added the microcode to make this chip work, but architecturally, it is still a single-core Pentium 4, and there are plenty of 915 chipset motherboards on the market that do support this chip. So this one has a good chance of working. And then our final chip, this is a Pentium dual core. at first glance, a Pentium dual core sounds like, oh, so it's another Pentium D. But that's where this chip is strange, and it was even confusing for people at the time. You see, this Pentium dual core is basically a Core 2 Duo with reduced bus speed, clock speed, and level 2 cache. This model is the E2160, and this one in particular carries an 800 megatransfer frontside bus, which means that it matches the frontside bus capabilities of the system. Whether it'll work or not is a whole different ballgame. This is based on Core 2 Duo architecture. So as far as the CPU itself is concerned, it's head and shoulders newer than everything else we're testing today. This is from 2008 with a manufacturing date in week 4 of 2008. But it does match the bus speed capabilities. And who knows if it'll work. But we currently have the system set up, running, booting, and able to work with the built-in Pentium 4 640 that came with it. So we're going to go backwards chronologically. We're going to start with the newest chip and work our way backwards. We're going to find out if one of them work, if all of them work. If none of them work, then this is going to be probably the most anticlimactic video that I've ever posted on my channel. So I guess let's get started. Alright, so starting off chronologically newest with the Pentium dual core E2160. We're going to go ahead and open the system. Hopefully this thing didn't get like burning hot while I was just idling it there. But I guess we'll see what happens. It's pretty warm, but I can at least physically handle the processor and the heatsink. So out with our Pentium 4 640 right there. And in with our Pentium dual core. Intel's nomenclature at this time was confusing at best and possibly disingenuous at worst. The Pentium dual cores, they were based on Core 2 Duo. It was a weird thing for them to exist not that long after Pentium D. And Pentium D itself had its own thing going on with nomenclature because there was also a Celeron D. But the Celeron D was only one core. And funny enough, there are Celeron D processors that are on the official compatibility list for the system. So we have our Pentium dual core installed. And we're going to go ahead and get the system closed back up. And hit our power button and see what happens. I don't even hear the fan starting. Yep, this thing is completely silent. Oh, how interesting. So not only are we not getting anything on screen for a post, caps lock is non-responsive. Our power LED is solid, but I'm getting no response. I'm actually not even able to eject our optical drive. That is how little of life we're getting out of this thing. So yeah, as expected, I guess, and as I had explained in my original video about this system, yeah, Core 2 Duos are completely off the table. It is worth mentioning, and I found this interesting, there are Core 2 Duo chips that have the correct bus speed. At launch, the Core 2 Duo chips were like the E6400, 6300, 6600. There were Core 2 Duo chips in the 4000 range of numbering. So we're talking about like E4300, E4400, and those chips carried an 800 megatransfer front side bus. The next one that we're going to try, we're going to go back one step in manufacturing date here to the Pentium 4 Cedar Mill chip. This is a 631. If this chip works, it is a strong contender to what I would just leave in the system completely. Since it is a die shrink, since it is only 65 watts, I would venture to say I would like to leave that in this system as what I would actually use it with. Simply because it's a small form factor PC, and having something that takes less power and produces less heat would be ideal, to be honest. All right, so we've got that installed. I'm gonna close it back up. And let's hit our power button and see what happens. Okay, I hear a fan. Oh, how interesting. I hear like the sounds that it's posting. And our optical drive is receiving power this time. So that's different and better than last time. Although it's not letting me eject it. Yeah, we're getting farther than we did with the Pentium dual core, that's for certain. But it sounds like it's post looping. That kind of sound. See if it does it again. That sound. So that sound is the floppy drive receiving power. And usually it does that for just a couple of seconds. It powers up the various devices, and then we post. But that's not happening with this Pentium 4. So it's seeming like we just don't have the microcode, maybe, for this particular Pentium 4 to be able to boot. Which is strange to me when the BIOS version is a whole year after manufacturing of this CPU. But I digress. We're going to power it back off. There we go. And now for the oldest chip out of the lot, which will be the Pentium D. This is going to be the one that someone in the comments on the first video about this had mentioned, hey, you might be able to upgrade to this. And I see some merit to that, and I actually, this is why I sought out kind of the oldest one that I had in my collection. Because, believe it or not, I have multiple Pentium D processors in my collection. This one in particular has the manufacturing date in 2005, week 31. The S spec on this is SL86T. And yeah, this is 2 Prescotts in a trench coat. It's the... It got a lot of bad reputation at the time for running hot, for taking tons and tons of power to operate. And again, by design on the 915 chipset, this CPU is not supported. But the BIOS version on this machine is so new. Who knows? Maybe they did something weird at IBM, and we'll see. We'll find out together here. if Pentium D is a viable upgrade path for this thing. I honestly don't even know, like, if this works, I don't know that I would leave it in the system, because again, this being a small form factor system, I just don't know if I would want to leave such a hot running CPU in it. But let's give it a try. Oh, wow. This is actually doing the same thing that the Pentium dual core did, where I'm getting power, but none of the devices are running. This is surprising to me. I had my money on this possibly giving us something, but like maybe it just wouldn't be detected. Maybe I just need to power cycle like completely. Let me try that. Oh. Okay. Oh, now this is interesting. So I got a, by plugging the power in, it powered on, fans went full speed for a couple of seconds, then it powered off, then it turned back on, and it actually sent, oh, and the optical drive is able to eject this time. How interesting. But still no post. Caps lock? Yeah, caps lock is not responsive either. Well, there you have it, guys. Pentium D is not actually a viable upgrade for this IBM ThinkCentre S51. It was a solid try here. But I think that I'm going to have to check with I'm going to have to check in my collection and see if I have anything else that is less power hungry than this thing is. Okay, well, curiosity has gotten the better of me here, and I have 3 more processors. You're getting a bonus. I'm 99% sure that the first one here is on the compatibility list. It's Pentium 4 2.93. The S-spec on this is SL7YV, and this has a manufacturing date in 2004. So this one has a lower bus speed of 533 and a slightly lower clock speed at 2.93. I actually don't even know if this chip supports hyperthreading, but it is going to be lower power consumption than what's currently in the system. Then we have one that I'm interested to know if it'll work, but I wouldn't use it in the system. It's a Celeron D. This is, again, kind of a silly thing with Intel's naming at the time. This chip, being a Celeron D, existed at the same time as Pentium D, and Pentium D was a dual-core CPU. Celeron D was not. This was a single-core, 3.2 gigahertz. This is a Celeron D352. S-spec is SL96P, and it's 3.2 gigahertz with a 533 bus speed and only 512 kilobytes of level 2 cache. So it's got some of the L2 disabled, and I'm like almost 100% certain this one does not have hyperthreading either, but it is based on NetBurst architecture, so it might work. And then just kind of for fun, our final one here is a Pentium D805. This is the only 533 bus speed Pentium D out of the launch models. So we'll give that a try too, just to see maybe it'll work. Who knows? So first one we're going to try here is the Pentium D805. We're going to remove our Pentium D820. And once again, the 915 chipset never really got support for these, but it has a lower bus speed. You know, the original had a 800 megahertz bus speed, and this is 533, but who knows? You know, it's worth a try. And this should satiate the curiosity of the gentleman who contacted and commented on the previous video about this of, hey, you should be able to upgrade that to a Pentium D. Well, here's the lowest model Pentium D that they ever made, the 805. And we're going to see if it's able to give us any kind of post. Who knows, maybe the lower bus speed will put less of a strain on the system and we'll be able to, like, trick it into working. I'm not sure. Fans, full speed. And fans staying full speed. Oh, how interesting. It's interesting to me that this has different behavior than the 820 did. Because they're basically the same chip at different clock speeds and different bus speeds. And yet this model gives us full speed fan and no post, but the 820 powered on, full speed fans for a few seconds, then powered off and started back up with normal speed fans. How weird. And yeah, nuance like this is why this is so interesting to me and why I really just wanted to dive into this. My curiosity was absolutely piqued by that comment on the previous video about this one. So now I'm going to go ahead and swap this one more time. Well, one more time for now. We've got two more processors to try. The next one that we're going to try is the Pentium 4 at 2.93 gigahertz. This one should work. I believe this one is just on the compatibility list. But this will give us a good test about the 533 bus speed. Like, making absolutely certain that there isn't a problem with running 533 bus speed processors in general. Especially with how that Pentium D 805 acted different from the 820. So, we've got our 2.93 installed. I'm also curious if this thing supports hyperthreading or not. If it does, it's a strong contender to, like, this might be the one that I actually leave installed in the system. Okay, full speed fans. No way. Let's give it a full power off and try again. This should be working. I also hope I didn't, like, somehow kill the system by trying all these CPUs. If it does wind up not working, it was for science. Oh my goodness. How strange. I'll have to look it up later based on the S-Spec to see if this is on the compatibility list. But now we just have the final CPU to try here, which will be the Celeron D. How interesting. Another thing about this, if I do wind up just equipping this with, you know, a basic PCI Express card and whatever CPU is compatible and working, if I wind up doing so, One of these sticks of RAM is a 333, and I think that they can run at 400 if they're both 400. So I might swap that. So this Celeron D model 352, it is S-Spec SL96P. And yeah, this one's got a 2006 manufacturing date, so it's quite a bit newer than what came in the system. Let's get it thrown in here. This will be the final one that we try on today's video, because I actually don't think I have any others that have a chance of being compatible. The only other thing we'll do after this, if this, well, whether it works or not, I'm going to put the original chip back in and just make sure that the system still is able to post. There we go. And apply power. That's freaking weird. This is so strange to me. I wonder if there's like a BIOS clear that I need to do in order to enable a different CPU to be used. Okay, I found the clear CMOS jumper. So I'm having that sit on the clear CMOS pins for 30 seconds. And we do have the power unplugged from the power supply. This is beyond strange to me that it would not work with either the 533 bus speed Pentium 4 or the Celeron D. Both of which, and like the Pentium 4, I'm almost 100% bets on the compatibility list for this thing. And the Celeron D may or may not be. I can't remember from off the top of my head, but I am going to let this reset, and then we're going to just try it again with this Celeron D installed. Let's get our pins back in place. There we go. Experiment time. Love this stuff. All right. Let's apply power. Yeah, full speed fans the whole time. Maybe these CPUs don't work. I have several actually, LGA 775 motherboards that I could try these processors in at a later date. One in particular has a 945 chipset, so it would theoretically work with all of these. And I am like super curious of which CPUs work and which don't. I'm going to have to visit that at another time. That's outside the scope of today's video. But I hope that this has satiated your... I don't have a keyboard attached. I don't think that would... I don't think that would stop it from working. But on the off chance. Yeah, no, it's just... I'm going to have to try these CPUs in a different board at a later time. And then, just for sanity's sake, we're going to pop the original processor back in and make sure that we didn't just break it. Wouldn't that be something? Put the original processor back in and it doesn't work anymore. That would be RIP. Absolute rip if that didn't work anymore. Where is our Pentium 4640? Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. All right. All right, guys, moment of truth. Did we somehow break the whole computer by trying 6 unsupported processors today? And clearing the CBOS. Oh, man. Let's connect keyboard first. I keep forgetting to do that, and I don't think it affects anything, but... This should be working right now. This is the original processor. Oh my goodness. Did we kill it, or was it on its way out already? There is a bad capacitor on the motherboard. I'm wondering if it just finally gave it up from all of this powering on and off. But there you have it, folks. This system is currently not working with all of its original parts still installed. I don't know if you've witnessed a murder or if it just was on its way out already. Well, if you're interested in videos about PCs, especially about old PCs, retro PCs, if you like seeing them taken apart, tested, cleaned, and just generally assessed, and history about what was current at the time, you're in the right place. And I appreciate you watching all the way through if you have. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight to try some stuff with this thing. And I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care.